Okay, welcome to Black Men Speak. I'm your co-host, J.R. Stewart.
And good evening, everyone. I'm your co-host, Tommy Dunn.
We want to apologize up front. It looks like we're having some technical difficulties with our studio software. So if things look a little different tonight, don't think that we're cutting back or anything or having budget cuts. Just having some technical difficulties. We'll see if we can't correct it for next week.
And you're just even one of us.
Well, the same of us, but less of everything else. Um, so we're going to try something new tonight. Tom, why don't you start the show off, and I'm going to see if I can't find our chat line. And since I have an extra screen now, see if we can bring it up. And because I was told that a couple of people tried to chat with us last week, and they said we didn't respond. So
Well, we have to make sure that we're responsive. But yeah. So this evening, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be having a conversation on the incomparable Marian Anderson, one of the most profound voices of the 20th century, a classic opera singer, and one of the most brilliant artists of the 20th century, in addition to being an activist in our community. So we're going to talk a little bit about her legacy, what she accomplished, and what thoughts can we take from her today that we can learn from. So, Jimmy, it seems to be interesting. But we have a lot of artists who we would consider to be great entertainers, but when you talk about pure singers, folks who had angelic voices and folks who had pure talent, Marian Anderson is at the top.
I don't think I've heard her sing, but I've read several reviews of people who have heard her, and yes, they said she had a an angelic type voice. But Tom, we are. I mean, I guess that's typical in the black community to, with a rich history, gospel history for our community to produce great singers, especially those who have a rich, deep, wide variety of tones and skills and ranges that come out of the black community. But she would not. I mean, in addition to having a gospel background, I mean, she sung opera, which is very difficult. That's not just having a good voice. That is having to have an excellent control over your voice, and that's normally that's something you don't normally see black people in.
Well, yeah, but you have to understand that most of your operatic singers are classically trained. A lot of money goes into
Lots of money.
exactly. And what you have to understand is that she grew up in Philadelphia, born in 1897 at the turn of the 19th century, and she didn't grow up in a privileged background, and quite frankly, if she were, I don't know how much of a difference that would make, but she, of course, was born to very humble beginnings. Her father basically did, some menial work selling ice and other things, and then, later in life, he was able to become an entrepreneur. I think he owned a liquor store. Her mother, Annie Rucker, her father, John B. Anderson, her mother actually went to school to be a teacher, but she never was able to get her degree. Of course, they weren't allowing a lot of black folks to get that much education back then, and so she was not allowed to be a high school teacher.
Okay.
She didn't have a degree during that period of time, so I believe her mother ended up taking care of smaller children. So she did not come from a lot of money, but she fortunately had an aunt who began to expose her at a very young age, I believe at the age of 6, exposing her to music, whether in the church, different musical groups and things of that nature. And she obviously had a natural born talent that her family was able to develop over a period of years.
Okay. Now, my question is, this is a time when America had serious race problems. I mean, how in the world does a black gospel singer make it into such a lily white sort of genre entertainment area, I mean, it's not like black folks were known to be opera singers. They were always great singers. But how did she make it into this field, which normally don't, even today, there's only, I can only think of like one or two that I've heard of, black women singing opera.
You're right, and her path to fame wasn't easy. It wasn't without a lot of hurdles. Unfortunately, racism and prejudice got in her way. She was at a very young age. One of the reasons why it took a longer period of time than it probably should have for her career to really get started. But when she was at a very young age, she lived in Philadelphia, and she was fortunate enough to have folks within her community who pulled together and helped raise money so that she could get singing lessons in high school. Otherwise, her family couldn't afford to send her to high school now being out of grammar school.
Now wait a minute, Tom. Wait a minute. Back up and rewind. Did you say the community came together to raise money to help this girl with singing lessons?
Yes, it was the black community who helped raise money to help her get singing.
What is wrong with our people today that we can't do the same? To see a young person trying to do something with their life, come together as a community to help make sure that child has the resources and the opportunity to reach their full potential.
Well, Jimmy, fortunately for her, it was through the black church. And so the pastor at the time at the church called together the community leaders and pulled together their nickels and dimes and raised enough money for her to take lessons and go on to high school and get more classical training because she had obvious talent. And the reality, 100 years later, Jimmy, let's just say that there are a lot of great entertainers. There are a few good singers out here, but it's a different ball of wax.
It is. Yeah, I mean, totally. And the fact that, Tom, that the church organized this, great for her. Still sad when you compare it to today when so many think that they are oppressed, think they have problems. And it bothers me that there are probably so many young people out there who would aspire to something greater. But you have so many naysayers telling them how bad things are, how racist America is, how you can't get ahead. And week after week, we come out here every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we talk about our ancestors who had to overcome real racism, real challenges. And week after week, we talk about how they overcame. So, and that's during a time when the Klan was running around lynching people, hanging people, without worry. So this is not just a few incidents here and there like we may have today. This is where you couldn't even look white people in the eye back then. You had to cross the street if y'all were on the same side of the street walking towards each other and someone had to move, it was a black person that had to move. Sometimes you have to go to the other side of the street or bow your head in the presence of white people. So we had real white privilege issues, white supremacy problems then. And today, to hear people cry and to hear what our ancestors had to go through and overcame these challenges. I'm amazed every week that this is the end conclusion every week that we come to.
Well, Jimmy, I can't disagree with you on some of those points. I think, unfortunately for us, Jimmy, if you look at that period of time, you're talking less than maybe around 50 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Then you had, of course, the Reconstruction period, and then during this period of time, she's a very young girl. Of course, you're going through Jim Crow era throughout America, and in particular.
The height of Jim Crow.
Absolutely. And you have to understand that our black communities were still together, and so the constructive side of that is that even though it was segregated, even though you had the KKK, even though you had white supremacist groups, even though you had crosses burning, even though you had people lynched, the black community was still together. Even with all the issues that they had to deal with back then, they were still together. And so they were able to pull you're talking about 100 years later, we have black communities. We have very few, no, we have black neighborhoods, very few black communities. Even though we have black professionals, and though we still have the masses of black who are in the lower middle class and or who are in the rows of the poverty, you have to understand that that connectivity isn't there because the black business community isn't as aligned with the black neighborhoods in order to recreate the new Wall Streets, the new Rosewoods. Of course, those were bombed by the white community, but that's another story. And so she was still in a supportive, nurturing environment where the black community, even having to overcome those hurdles, was still together.
Okay, Tom. With that being said, still we're talking the Woodrow Wilson era, the height of the re-emergence of the Klan, birth of a nation. I mean, we're talking real problems for black people, and we're talking about a sector of the entertainment that was not. I mean, even today it's hard for black people to break into opera. I can only imagine what it was back then. So she had to have talent that was so great, that was so superior to those around her, that people were willing to ignore the fact that she was a black woman. You know, just for the entertainment value.
Yeah, you're right. Because after she did finally graduate from high school, of course, she applied to a college there in Philadelphia to continue to get her studies. And unfortunately, well, it was a rule of law. It was just the culture, the country, the way it was at that point in time. They didn't accept black people, so she couldn't go to the local college to continue her studies in classic arts and singing. She eventually, got her big break in about 1925. She won a local contest that was hosted by the Philharmonic Orchestra in New York, and she won a singing contest, and she was able to have a recital where she actually performed with the Philharmonic Orchestra.
Okay.
Even as great as she was, they still rejected her, and they still wouldn't accept her brilliance because, of course, she was black. So it had nothing to do with talent. It had to do with her color.
Right, but I'm saying in order to overcome color, she had to have talent that was far above the average. You couldn't be average and on par with others back then because color was an issue. So for it to stop being an issue, she had to have talent that far outweighed what other people were doing.
Agreed. That would be factual.
Okay.
What ended up happening, Jimmy, of course, is that was 1925. She did some recitals, across the U.S. Of course. At best, you could say that she was got a lukewarm reception because white folks couldn't accept a black woman who was that talented in a genre, of course, that they felt
was theirs.
She ended up going to Europe really to kick off her career, and that's where she really began to take off and find some acclaim. She ended up having to go to Europe. She toured all over Europe during the early 30s, ended up finding a manager who was in her corner, and really that's where her career began to set aflame.
Now we've had several that we've talked about who had to go to Europe to launch their careers, so that wasn't uncommon for blacks to do, and maybe that is a small tribute to maybe how far along the Europeans were at that time versus America.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it wasn't until, I believe, the 1935 or so where her manager convinced her to finally come back to the United States and start performing so that she could make some real money. Because at the end of the day, you have to feed yourself.
True.
So it wasn't until about 1935 that she finally was convinced to come back to the U.S. and start doing performances in the U.S. Still obviously did not get the credit that she did in Europe, but at least she was able to perform for her own audiences and her countrymen and her countrywomen, and then our community in particular, even though there were issues too. There.
Okay. Well, you know what? That is a lot of determination, Tom. And she had to be really hungry to come back to America during those times to deal with the conditions that existed at the time. So let me say, let me just real quickly, our chat line is open, both the text and the phone line. If you want to call in and participate, or find us, go to our YouTube page, and the show is there, and you can watch from there, and then you can chat from there. So we have both channels of communication open if you want to participate. With that being said, she had to be pretty hungry to come back to America during that time. I'm not sure if faced with the same thing, I would have come back. I would have just had to find a way to eat less, live cheaper in Europe, and so I'm not sure I would have came back. I'm just being honest.
But she was making more money in Europe. Of course, the white folks in America at that time, they were not booking her, for concerts. They wouldn't allow her to play in certain concert halls because she was making more money in Europe anyway. But it was her manager who convinced her to come back home. I'm assuming to expand her Rolodex and of course her purse string. But I would agree, I probably would have stayed in Europe myself.
Yeah. So that would have been a hard sell. So Tom, let's talk about once again her outright determination and what lessons can young people today who have a dream, even though there is a great deal of naysaying in the ether out here that they have to listen to. What can we say, what can we extrapolate from her determination to apply today for those who have a dream that they're chasing?
The few things that I take from her phenomenal story is, number one, don't quit. If you have a dream, if you have a talent, and sometimes, Jimmy, it's not the most talented people who end up winning in the end, but those who, through sheer grit, determination, and develop, end up sticking with the race. And so the first thing I would take, even though she was brilliant, even without the development that probably other young white women got during that period of time, she was determined, and she got exposure, fortunately, from family and other folks that helped cultivate her talent. But one, being determined, number two, broadening your horizons. She was willing, of course, through all the hurdles and obstacles that she dealt with, to go outside of the country in order to find her success. And sometimes what you'll find, just as other musicians, other artists, even other, athletes have found, is that they end up doing better outside of their current environment than they do at their native land.
Well, Tom, I think what I hear you saying is sometimes you have to overcome your fears. I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy leaving friends, family, and everything that she had known here in the U.S. to go abroad. But when doors open for you, no matter where those doors go, sometimes you have to have the courage to walk through the door. I'm pretty sure she prayed many a night asking God to help her, to help deliver her. And if she didn't have the courage when those doors opened to walk through it, it could have all easily been lost. She could have never ever developed or been discovered, or been nothing more than some, street corner church gospel singer.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I'm pretty sure not only did she pray many nights, she probably cried many nights.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that the tears were there also. So Tom, we're coming up on the last few minutes of the show. Let me ask you this: have you heard any recordings of her singing? Are there any that survived? Maybe.
I did find a few recordings online. Matter of fact, there are a few in Wikipedia.
Okay.
And if you Google Marian Anderson, you will find a few other sites that have some of her singing. But in listening to her singing, Jimmy, her voice was beautiful. But what you have to take into perspective is that
the quality of the recording
during that period of time,
yes, it was very bad.
And to hear her voice, the strength of her voice, the power of her voice, but those recordings, Jimmy, were close to 100 years old. Obviously, they obviously were able to use more advanced technology to help enhance or amplify, because of course the technology then clearly wasn't as close.
No, it wasn't.
But still, it was undeniable
Okay. All right. And before we close, let's talk about the ISIS paper. I didn't have a book this week. I have to rearrange our screen, our studio, because we run out of space for our books and our person of interest. So we're gonna have to start shifting and so doing some changes there. So I will add my book next week. But you added the ISIS paper to the list. So tell us a little bit about the ISIS paper.
The ISIS paper is by Frances Cress-Welsing. She was a psychologist. She wrote multiple books, but this likely is her most famous book, and it was a series of essays that speaks to various points. But the most powerful thing that stuck out to me, Jimmy, was the power of images and symbolism, and how those images, those monuments, those statues, and that symbolism has such a powerful impact psychologically. And the interesting thing about it that she points out is how subtle those images, those ideas are used that have an influence in our subconscious and therefore our thinking and therefore our behavior. And how many of those images, if you think about what you think and what you feel when you see a swastika versus what you think and feel when you see a cross, what you think and feel when you see the Washington Monument, the obelisk, which of course actually was taken from Africa. And she talked about how a lot of those images and those symbols and ideas are used to shape behavior. Could be constructive, but in a lot of cases, a very destructive behavior.
One time, I think we've done shows in the past. We talked about the programming, social programming that takes place on a global scale every single day. If you don't separate, and there's only so much you can, unless you just go out in the woods and become a doom prepper. If you're tied into technology in any kind of way, then you can't help but come across these images. And the programming is constant, daily, and it chips away. It's not necessarily that one image is going to tip the scale, but a million different images over a lifetime will.
That's the key.
It's a small number that builds critical mass over time. It's not the one single image that does it. So we have to be aware. So I haven't read the ISIS paper. I'm still a little bit behind on my book reading. I've been trying to stay on pace to read a book a week. But the last book, the one I recommended for the book club, actually took me 2 weeks. So it's putting me a little bit behind. But I do have it on my list to get it done this year, so I will read it. And hopefully next week, what I may do is go out and see if we can find some recordings of Marian to play during next week's show. Maybe we can play a clip, a 1 minute, 2 minute clip to share with the audience. Okay, good book. Who do we have next week?
We have the incomparable Marian Anderson.
Okay.
Probably most famously known, poet laureate of the United States, and probably, she has many brilliant poems.
Yes, she does.
Our topic for next week will be, of course, While the Cage Bird Sings, on the life and times of Miss Marian Anderson.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it sings either. Seems like there's not much hope of getting out of the cage. Not much to sing about. But yes, a great poem. And she has a great body of work, certainly. And that should be an interesting discussion. Now, we're going to need, for next week, people, you got to bring it. We're going to need at least 10 to 15 new subscribers. And we need to get 100, 200 more views for next week. This is every week is an interesting topic. In fact, every week just have an opportunity to see you and I and share in our discussion. Should be worthy of a few million views. So I'm not sure what's wrong with social media out there. The rest of the world needs to get it together. But next week sounds like it's going to be very interesting and fascinating. So I would encourage everyone to come out next week in numbers. Like I said, we'll have our technical issues resolved by then. The chat line will be open, so you can send your comments, and or you can call in. So the phone line will be open also. And with that being said, Tom, I'm going to give you the last word, the true last word this time.
All right, then. We want to thank everyone again for joining us this evening. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on Miss Marian Anderson. You know, for those of you, presumably, maybe some young folks who may not know very much about Marian Anderson, you know, she is what you would truly call a unicorn. We must understand our history, and it's really true that through that history and what we have overcome, that gives us inspiration for the future. The reality of it is our history, our true history, gives us power. So thanks again for joining us this evening. We look forward to engaging with you next week, and have a great week, folks.
All right. With that being said, we are out.